Well, I'm at the Red House with Courtney Puckett, and thank you for coming to hang out.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So, you're releasing music soon.
Yes.
Let's just start by talking about your new project.
Okay, so I released a single July 17th. It's called Daydream, and it's out on everything now. I'm releasing another single in 3 days called Triangles, and that's August 17th. And then I'm releasing an album with both those songs included in the album September 17th. So it's all like the 17th. There's no really specific reason for that. It's just to kind of make it consistent. And the album release will be at the Maroney Theater in Salisbury. So it's going to be a big event, and it's ticketed. My husband has a band called Big Break, and they're going to be also releasing a double album on the same day. So we're doing a big event. We're hoping people will come. It's like a 300-seated theater. So yeah, that's kind of the whole thing. And the album's called Out of the Gray, and that's a song on the album. It's kind of like a bossa nova style song. A lot of my songs have jazz undertones or influences to them, but I wouldn't say it's necessarily completely a jazz album. Daydream, I had a review. My friend sent it to some guy in Boston. I don't remember specifically the reviewer's name right now, but it's on my website, and he said it was kind of like a pop folk song, which I mean, it has that, because it's got bluegrassy stuff to it because there's a violin player, and so it's kind of all over the place, but I would say that R&B and jazz are kind of the center of it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like you should come up with some sort of weird mystical thing for the whole 17 thing.
I know.
Yeah.
I should. Well, and I've been calling it dreamy jazz because I just kind of feel like it's kind of flowy, and so that's kind of what I've been calling it. So I don't know if that could relate to that. I don't know. Some
overlap in there somewhere.
Yeah.
So why jazz and R&B? How did you end up with those flavors in your music?
So there's a lot of things, I guess. I've been playing the guitar since I was 12. I've been playing music a little before that. I was in band in middle school and high school. I played the clarinet. And then I was in jazz band in high school. I also played the tuba randomly. The band director needed a tuba player for our band, and so I said, I'll do it, and I did it. I'm kind of I like to learn new instruments. I enjoy that. I played the mellophone for a year, which is kind of like a French horn, but for marching band. So it's more outward. It's kind of like a big trumpet is what it looks like.
Okay.
What else did I play? I don't know. So I played a bunch of stuff. It was in jazz band. So that kind of was one thing. And then on top of that, my grandpa was a big jazz fan. He liked Fats Waller and Billie Holiday and that kind of stuff. So my whole family, they're not really musicians, but they're music lovers. So my parents had me listening to just everything when I was a kid. So my dad's a big blues person, so that's kind of has similarities, and yeah, just kind of growing up with that, and then doing it in school, and then when I listen to music, typically I like to relax. Some people like to and sometimes I like upbeat music too. I don't only listen to smooth jazz or anything, but a lot of the time I like relaxing to music, and so I just wanted to create something that I personally enjoy and that's calming and kind of reflective. And so, yeah, and then when I went to college, I actually never really sang before high school, or I just never sang. I wasn't in chorus or anything. So I sang in college randomly. I tried out for the women's choir and sang with that. We did just a bunch of different genres with that. And once I finally kind of started working on my own stuff, I just found my voice. I enjoyed singing that kind of music. And I don't have like a super theatrical voice or anything like that. It's more mellow, and yeah, so that's just kind of what I'm suited for and what I like. And I enjoy the guitar part as well. Like, I like playing jazz music. And yeah, I mean, I also am influenced by a lot of artists like Erykah Badu and Nora Jones. I really enjoy her stuff. Billie Holiday.
I love Billie Holiday.
You know, all that good stuff. It's just, I just love it. So I don't know. That's kind of the path.
Yeah, so I guess what that makes me curious about is like, for a lot of people, I think including myself, music is for people who are self-taught and who aren't in like more like the disciplines of music, and maybe they live more in folk music. You know, it's one thing to take a guitar and start with a guitar and teach yourself chords and then just kind of write songs, and that type of music tends to be on the simpler side. And then when you're starting instead with this sort of exposure to an education in music and a diversity of instruments and sounds and stuff like that, it seems like the music can be more complex. So maybe one question might be, when you approach music and the creative process, are you going into it, when it comes to like jazz noises, jazz movements and sounds and stuff, are you able to kind of surprise yourself? Is it like, what is the creative process like with that education in there? Like, is it like you can kind of predict what you're doing and it's mathematical, or is it sort of like you're still like discovering sounds and discovering noises that you want to use and stuff like that?
I think it's kind of a mix. I took guitar lessons for about a year from Daniel Seraph.
Yeah,
you know him?
yeah.
And he's an amazing jazz guitarist. And so he taught me a lot of technical stuff with guitar specifically. And so, like, already having kind of a background in reading music and understanding it in, like, a technical way, like, I do approach it. So, like, for example, that song Out of the Gray that's going to be on the album, it's a bossa nova pattern. Mm-hmm. So I learned how to do a bossa nova pattern. I learned, you know, what goes into that. I also learned some bossa nova songs before that. There's a song called Este Su Mujer that I learned that has like 16 chords in it, and it's in Portuguese. So like I like to get influences from other songs as well, to get ideas of how to technically approach it. But then at the same time, when I write like lyrics and stuff like that, I just kind of am free with it and just let it happen. Like if the moment strikes when I'm inspired, I usually just pull out my phone and put it in my notes and then save it for later, whatever. And yeah, so some of the songs, it's like, I'm gonna use this pattern, I'm gonna approach it that way. But then like some songs, I'll start with a concept or the lyrics or the sound I'm going for and just kind of hash it out, you know? So yeah. It could go either way, you know?
Do you speak Portuguese?
No.
Do you sing Portuguese?
I sing in Portuguese for that one song. I speak a bit of Spanish, so I do sing in Spanish sometimes. I like to sing in other languages. I sing a song in French. I guess the reason for that is when I was in the choir I was at East Carolina for undergrad, and so when I was in the choir for that, we did a lot of different languages. So that was kind of I was like, I want to kind of keep doing that, but with like styles I really like. So, do you know Carla Bruni?
I'm not sure.
She's a French singer, and it's just very beautiful, and I'm like, it's just such a cool language, and it's fun to break that out, and people were like, what's happening?
Yeah.
They're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I don't understand what she's saying. So.
Do you just speak some Spanish from like school and stuff?
Yeah, just from school, and we took some vacations to like Guatemala and El Salvador, and I love those countries. I think they're beautiful, and I have some friends out there, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I actually, my friend that lives in Guatemala, I had like a random dream about her, and I was like, I had a dream about you. And she was like, well, you need to come. You haven't been in a while. You should come visit. And so I was like, maybe I'll just book a few shows down there and like make a whole thing about it.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Yeah,
so,
it would be.
Yeah.
So how do you, I mean, I tried learning a song in Spanish for a wedding once, and it just I couldn't sync it. I couldn't anchor it into my head. Like, how do you go about memorizing words in a language you don't speak?
That's a good question. I like listen to the song a lot first. Like, I'll be in my car and I'll just listen to it over and over and over and over. That's the first thing. I look up the lyrics and then I break it down in sections. So I might practice 2 lines a day or something like that. And sometimes if I don't practice it for a while, I'll forget. So if I don't play it out, I will forget it. So I had to play it a lot still, you know. The French song I do, I just remember because I've played it so much. But like that Portuguese one is I still have to revisit the lyrics sometimes just to make sure I really have it down, because Portuguese is an interesting language. I mean, so is French, but Portuguese is like almost Spanish, but it's not, you know. It's not, to me, it almost has a French sound, like Spanish and French. I know it's probably not. I don't know, like, linguistically, if that's true, but it has like those like French sounds to it. So it's just different. But yeah, I kind of break it down in sections and try to listen to it a lot and get the ideas. And sometimes I'll even look up, if I really don't think I can pronounce the word, I'll look it up and listen to how it's pronounced, and then like write it phonetically on top and just get used to phonetically how to sound it out. That's kind of been my approach so far, and it seems to work.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of putting a map together of you, I guess, in my head, because you're like, you have all this eclectic instruments that you've been exposed to, and also can manage to go to these lengths to sing these songs in languages that you don't speak. Are you like super intelligent and stuff? Are you like a super ambitious person?
Yeah, I'm ambitious. I have ADHD. I was diagnosed when I was like 12 or 11. And I feel like that plays a big part of why I'm the way I am. I'm always like doing something. Like I am a musician, but I also do a lot of other things. Like I'm just like, my brain always wants to be doing something. I mean, I still relax and stuff, but I have to be like interested in something and doing something, because I don't know. I just enjoy that. And I mean, I don't really know like a specific, like I just feel like, I think if I'm not doing something, I feel kind of like anxious maybe. So I'm just like, well, I'll just tackle this new project and it's fine.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So one question about music, but then I'd also, maybe you can help me remember, I want to ask you about the other stuff you do too. But so that's interesting. So you think this ADHD thing is like influenced has it played a role in your draw to music and like the way that you've allowed music to kind of occupy your mind in different ways or whatever?
Yeah. It's like, so I feel that when you have ADHD, if you're not interested in something, it's really hard to be motivated to do that task. But when you are interested in something, you just go all in, at least from my experience. So like with music, I just like go all in. I hyper focus on it, and I tried, I kind of just focus on like one thing at a time, because not one thing like I focus on, like, for example, if I'm learning a new song, I focus on that for a bit. Or if I'm trying to book radio shows or something, I will do that all day. Like I'll work on it, like, so my approach to music is kind of finding one thing that I need to do and going for that and making sure it's done, and then kind of going to the next thing. And because I mean, with the business end of music, it's can be tricky for me, because I just like to create it and I like to perform, but trying to book everything and make sure my T's are crossed and that kind of thing can be difficult. So it's good for me to like take a day to just work on the booking or the promotion or whatever. So
Yeah.
I think it's helpful in some way, in a lot of ways. Like, that's just who I am. I think maybe the hindrance would be just sticking with certain things that are more difficult for me to do. Like I said, like trying to make sure that everything's booked and dealt with. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, but that is interesting, and I could see how, if it has that, given that it has that sort of that jump all in feature to it, I can see how that would be helpful with certain of those tasks.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. So what are some of the other interests that you have that occupy your days?
I have a lot of random interests, so I'll just tell you a few.
Okay.
Well, so I like to roller skate.
Okay.
I go to skate parks and I roller skate. I do like ramps and drop off stuff, and yeah, I do. That's what I do. I have a ramp in my backyard, a half pipe, and yeah, I
really?
Yeah.
Wait, when you say
some random stuff,
roller skate, I'm picturing 2 wheels in the front, 2 wheels in the back.
Yeah, that's correct.
You wait. You go into a half pipe with a roller skate that has 2 wheels in the front and 2 wheels in the back.
Correct.
I've never heard of that before.
I do that, and I have a block on the bottom, so I can slide on the rail, and yeah, it's fun. I don't know. I wear a helmet. But yeah, there's a park in Lexington that I love. It's just the Lexington Skate Park, and it's concrete and really cool. And I like to just put some music on and skate around.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And I listen to a lot of R&B when I do that.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. Like, I feel like I remember, like, when I was a kid, I don't think rollerblading was as prominent, and so when we would go to a skating rink or whatever, it was common to see people wearing roller skates. But I don't see that ever anymore, and I don't even hardly see people rollerblade. But if I think about skating, I'm thinking about rollerblading.
Yeah, a lot of people are like, "Oh, those are your rollerblades," and I'm like, "No, they're not."
Yeah.
But no, it's actually coming back into popularity, which is cool. There's a bunch of cool people that do some crazy tricks, and I can't do like anything crazy, but I just have fun with it. Like, some people will like do a backflip out of the thing, and I'm not trying to do all that. I'm just trying to cruise around and have fun. But it's just a nice way to exercise and have fun and relax. And I don't know. At first, it was not as relaxing, obviously, because I fell a lot, and it was painful. But after the pain stuff, it's gotten nice. And I would recommend, like, if you are going to get into it, get some knee pads, because you're going to fall on your knees a lot. So get some knee pads.
Did you skate as a kid?
I was, here's another random thing. I worked at Sonic Drive-In when I was 15.
Yeah.
So I roller skated for that. I mean, I roller skated as a kid, but I feel like that was probably, like, I owned a pair of roller skates because of that job.
Right.
And then my buddy, who is a roller derby girl, I just had them in my closet forever. And she was, like, at a show I played at the Lee Street Theater. And she was like, "Oh my gosh, I love that set." And I was like, "Well, I love that you roller skate." And I was like, "I'm so jealous. I wish that I could roller skate, you know." And she was like, "You can. You just go do it." And I was like, "Oh, okay." Like, so we started skating together, and I don't know. It's just, there's something cool about just going to do something that's like you don't think you can do until you just go do it.
Yeah.
And yeah. So that happened, and I also enjoy like I've randomly just like literally just started like foraging for mushrooms. That's like a complete turn, but I like to like get outside. I think that's a big thing. I just want to get outside and have excuses to be outside.
Yeah.
So I like to forage for mushrooms, which I don't do. Like, I don't eat anything. I guess I won't forage for them, but I like to go take pictures of them and learn about them before I start like getting into the edible mushroom situation because I'm not trying to die.
Yep.
But so I've been like recently into that, and like I like a little bit of gardening. My buddy has a nonprofit called Happy Roots, where she builds school gardens and has a greenhouse at a high school and is starting to do a big greenhouse project now. And so that's a pretty cool organization to check out. It's on my Instagram bio if anybody's interested in that. So yeah, I like to do things that just make me feel happy and relaxed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is fun. The mushroom thing, I know exactly what you mean. So I kind of roam around here doing a little of that, also taking pictures. But yeah, I've heard that with mushrooms, even like for mushrooms, there's like a rule of thumb, like you have to watch somebody else, an expert, like eat a mushroom before you should eat it, so that you something or other.
Yeah.
Like you have to anyway, because there's so many subtle differences that might not be easy for us to detect if we're not like super skilled in identifying mushrooms or whatever. So I'm scared to do it, but I'd really love to get into the like growing them on purpose, like doing that for food. That would be. I mean, I love mushrooms. I love dishes that have mushrooms in them, so I might as well. That's kind of my garden approach. Is kind of like if I can, the more things I can think of that are things I enjoy eating, I want to try to grow as many of those as I can. And
oh yeah, for sure.
Work them in.
And it tastes so good, like when it's right from your garden. It's just better.
Yeah.
You know, like even like I love the farmers market, like 100%. That's like the next best thing to your own garden is the farmers market.
Yeah.
But definitely, like when you just get it right there and you make it, it's nothing better than that. So yeah.
Yeah. What do you enjoy growing out there?
I've been doing zucchini and squash. I have some watermelon, but that vine is looking a little rough. I don't know if it's gonna make any more watermelon, but it made a couple, or it made one really good one. And I just have like a raised bed situation, and then I have some big pots with like herbs and then tomatoes, and what else do I have? I have rosemary, parsley, basil. I've also been interested in getting into like planting flowers, just like for bees and pollinators and stuff, because they're just really pretty and it's good for the environment. So it's just a nice, I don't know. I never was like that into flowers, but then recently I'm like, that would be a cool thing to do maybe next year. So
yeah.
And
I think they also like if you use them right or whatever, if you're just if you keep pollinators coming around your garden, then they're also in the area to pollinate your vegetables.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
it's just smart.
It's a good idea.
Yeah. I had a similar thing with my watermelons out here have been weird. I don't know if this is what happened with yours, but I had one growing that it's like the size of a softball right now, and it doesn't seem to be. I'm not sure that it's getting bigger. And
that happened to me. Yeah.
It did, and that the leaves on the vine are kind of crispy.
Is there like yellow spots on it?
Not that I recall.
Yeah, I don't know.
Did you figure out? I mean, was it just like timing or water, or did you come up with a solution? Or something to blame it on?
I don't know. Like we actually like planted it from a grocery store watermelon seed.
Interesting.
So I was curious if that was the reason, like because of like they don't really want you to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it tasted fine, and I'm alive. But I don't know. The only thing I would say is just maybe give it a little longer and keep watering it. But I'm not super expert on it.
Did your watermelon Did it cease to grow or? Okay.
Yeah, so I just like gave it another week or two, and I was just like, I'm just gonna pick it.
Yeah.
And it was fine. But it was so small.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I'm in a gardening network online that I will take pictures and ask questions, and so I think that's a good way to
Yeah.
get help because I don't know. It's harder than you would think.
Yeah, it is. How long have you been gardening?
I started the summer of COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah. I listened to the Lucas Nelson song. You heard that? The turn off the news and build a garden. That wasn't really the reason, but it was like a kind of time in my life that I just wanted to like get in touch with nature. And I think because of like COVID and everything, I just was tired of the news and tired of the negativity and just wanted to like get away from that. So just started it that summer and had a pretty good one. And then last summer, not as much. And then I just got back into it this summer. And I did, like I was a teacher. This is going to be a little tangent. I was a public school teacher for 6 years. And I just quit my job in May and started doing music full time.
This May?
Yeah.
Wow.
I've been doing music obviously before then.
Yeah.
As I was a teacher. It was actually not a bad schedule because music usually is on the weekends and in the summer. So it kind of worked out. But I was just very burnt out on the job, so I quit. And but anyways, when I worked at the school, we had a school garden through Happy Roots. So we did gardens through that a lot. So like that was a big focus, was that garden. So I didn't do mine as much at that time. But we did like broccoli and we did like fall and winter gardens. Like I tried to sustain it all year.
Yeah.
So that was a good time. That part of it was cool. Being creative was cool, but other parts of it were not as good. So I just kind of was like, needed to get away from that. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. And I can talk more about that if you want.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about there. Like,
yeah, there is.
Yeah, I don't know what do you have on your mind? If I just said keep talking, then where would you go? Because I have like different directions I could go in, I guess.
Well, I did my undergrad in elementary education.
Okay.
And I like working with kids. Like I was thinking about doing a kids album in the future, and like I like that aspect. I think so. I worked in special ed for 2 years, and then when I finished my degree, I did, like I was a TA, like an assistant for special ed, and then I transitioned to a full classroom of my own. And at first, it was fine. Like, I felt really confident as a teacher, and I felt like I was doing a good job, and I got a lot of, great observations, and everybody liked what I was doing. And I got a grant for a full class set of ukuleles, so I taught my kids how to play ukulele every year. So that was cool, and I did the gardening with them. I did a lot of like stuff like that, like social emotional learning type stuff, like stuff that really will help them. Like obviously academics are good, but I wanted to also incorporate the life skills type stuff. And it was going pretty good. And then so the year that the pandemic happened, 2019, that fall, before the pandemic, I just started feeling anxious every day going into work, and it was a mixture of things, and I think it's like there's so many things. Like it's the political end of it, the fact that there's not enough funding. It starts to kind of weigh on you after a while because you realize like that it's not fair. And then there's like the parents you have to deal with. A lot of them are great, but there's some that are just really hard to deal with. I'm not going to go into too much detail just to be on, for privacy reasons, but it was stressful. And I worked at an at-risk school, so there was a lot of stress. And so then I was feeling kind of like, I don't know if this is really what I want long term. And then the pandemic happened, and we were virtual the rest of the year. So it was kind of confusing because it's like, it was just different. Then the next year, I taught virtually the whole year. And then this past school year, we went back in the classroom, and there's a lot of stuff going on with our school board that was negative, and we had a lot of change in administration. It was also like more of just like the school itself was going through a lot of change, but it was just a lot of stress in my life, and I was coming home every day just unhappy, and I was getting more gigs kind of as the pandemic things were lightening up, and I started realizing like, I think I could just do this. And so I finished the year out just to get it done and not leave the kids hanging, I finished the year, and I was like, I'm going to be done, and I'm going to try this. And it was kind of scary, but so far it's been working out.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I just started doing it full time, so but yeah, I think that our state needs to change a lot of things in the education system. And honestly, they need to pay teachers more. Bottom line, teachers are doing a lot for the kids and not getting enough support. So that would be great.
Yeah.
If anybody listening to this is a political professional,
we will tag a few of them. Make sure they think about it.
That would be great if they would pay people to do their job.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, cool. So that's some stuff to work with.
Yeah.
So I have noticed that it has been a common experience for people to, on this side of COVID, in different ways, get more in touch with nature or whatever that means to them. It's definitely something that I felt. And for some of it, I'm sure, is for obvious reasons, like in highly dense places where there was a ton of people. It was less comfortable to be in than places where you had your own space. Outdoors is fun to be in. There was all sorts of, it was dangerous to go to the grocery store and buying things that in many cases, not only is the grocery store full of stuff that isn't healthy for you, but like it's also full of stuff you could grow at your house if you were determined to. And we just didn't do that for a really long time. So anyway, I can understand some of the practical elements of it, but also there's this, this emotional bond that people describe getting back in touch with nature that they've remembered since COVID. Was that a thing for you? Like, has it affected you? That drive to get back in touch with nature, is it like, what is that an emotional net gain for you?
Yeah, I think getting in touch with art and nature both, like, I think also not living your life for the capitalist purposes is nice. Like, just going to your 9-to-5 job and doing that all the time, unless it's a good job that you love. But it's kind of nice to just slow down and like focus on what actually makes you feel fulfilled. And for me, that's been doing the music and going outside and just taking walks and looking around. And it's just important, I think. And I think that humans right now are very anxious and stressed out. And I think it's because of all, it's good to have progress in a lot of ways, but in other ways it's also important to remember where you came from. And, like, I just think our brains need that, like, and I've definitely felt that anxiety and stress before the pandemic. And then obviously during the pandemic it was stressful, but there were some things that came out of it that were positive.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know,
You think that's why people are so crazy now?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they got they experienced what it was like to slow down, and then they had to go back.
No kidding. Yeah.
So
It's been hard
yeah,
to go back. Yeah.
and I think that's why people are quitting their jobs,
Yeah.
myself included. And I'm not saying I'll never work. Like I'm gonna be going back to school and trying to figure out what I want to, change it up a bit. But I think just kind of taking control of your life a little more, and instead of just letting things happen to you.
Absolutely. That's exactly how I feel most days.
Yeah.
And I found myself with a new job, so like it was confusing, and it's still confusing. I work with a company that I worked for since like 2016. Should I be explicit? Should I just say what I'm talking about? I don't know if it matters or not. But anyway, I've worked with one organization since 2016, and like I found myself working with them at a totally different capacity, and for some reason, maybe I'm loyal to them or the relationship is deep or whatever, but I still, when I work for them, it doesn't feel as much like work. It's like it's the same thing as like I don't know if you'd say like a family obligation or like a personal obligation. It's similar maybe to, similar to like producing this podcast or working on a song a commission song, or working on rehearsal. Mm-hmm. It's just like a part of what I do. And so I don't mind it. But I also started working with a new organization, and since COVID, I'm so like prickly about being, I don't know, like totally obedient and like giving that like level of control away to somebody. Yeah. I'm so unwilling to do that. There's something in my mind that's just like, never again.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird.
It is weird. But like you said, if you find something you do like, then that's a good, like, I guess, solution to that.
Yeah.
Because, we do have to, like, unfortunately, like, work and make money.
Right.
That's just part of life. Like, I'm not saying that's not a thing. I just think it's important to, like, find what is going to actually make you feel happy and not just do something because like, with teaching for me, I got a degree and I felt obligated. I was like, I have to do this now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
it was scary to just be like, I think also when you're like pushed away from something and you're uncomfortable, you're made to be uncomfortable by that situation. You kind of do have to make a change, because change is uncomfortable, but so is staying in something that makes you unhappy. So, but yeah, like this is kind of random, but my dad, he loves his job. Like, he's like obsessed with it. Like, he enjoys it.
Yeah.
So that's great. You know what I mean? Like, that's what you should do.
I think, yeah.
It. Yeah.
For some people, it's I don't know what your dad does or whatever, but for some people, I think just having a space and a structure like that in a company, that's the addictive thing.
Yeah.
I think that's like a little bit of what it is. Because it's funny because I do 2 almost identical jobs for these 2 organizations. Mm-hmm. One of them, I can like dress casually and talk normally, and the hours are like to my liking. And one of them is the total opposite of that. But the work, different level of frustrating. It's like, and I think maybe it's because of the space I occupy in the hierarchy, where I feel like I'm at the bottom on one of them and I'm more like relevant to the other. I don't fucking know what the deal is, but I'm fascinated by the fact that the work is so similar, but one of them makes me feel so depleted and one of them makes me feel normal. You know?
Yeah.
It's just weird.
Well, I think music can even be that way when you're a musician working full time. There's certain things that are more fulfilling than others.
True.
Like sometimes you're just getting through it, and sometimes it's amazing. You know, there's a lot of highs and lows to music as
Yeah.
well. So it's not just like, to me, it's not a complete solution. It's just trying to find something a little different that I feel I'm gonna, you know, I don't know, just changing my direction a bit and seeing where it takes me.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I dig it.
Yeah.
Lifestyle of gardening and music. I feel like that's like a thing now.
Yeah, I think so. Do you know Emily Mussolino? She does she's out of Durham, I believe. Yeah, Durham. And she does she's amazing, really great musician. But she also, you know, does the gardening, and I feel very connected to her because, yeah.
We need to get specifically a network of gardening musicians put together, I think.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Maybe we'll follow up with that.
Yeah.
I cut you off. What were you saying?
No, I was going to say, there's a lot of people that have been on this podcast, specifically female musicians that I feel very connected to. Just I don't know that all of them garden necessarily, but I feel like they have that similar kind of personal life too, where they want to be in touch with nature or something like that, you know? So.
Yeah, you said something, or you were talking about artists that you're interested in, and you sound like somebody who's really up to speed on what's happening specifically among female musicians. And is that what is that? Is that an effort? You really care about what female musicians are up to? Or is that a thing?
Yeah. So in I don't know the specific year. I want to say 2015, maybe. It's kind of when I started doing live music, and the reason, I've always done music, but it wasn't live music. It was either with a band or with a group or by myself in my room, but it wasn't live. Anyways, so 2015, I went to Earth Day Jam in Salisbury, and Dark Water Rising was playing. Are you aware of them at all?
I'm not aware of many things.
That's fine. They're not really performing together anymore, but all the musicians are great. And Charlie Lowry was in that, and she's doing some cool stuff. And then Emily Mussolino was also in that, so two really strong women. And Emily is an amazing guitar player, and I don't think I ever had seen that before. I know there are amazing guitar players that are women, but I'm saying personally, I hadn't seen a live show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then Charlie has this powerful vocal. They both have really powerful vocals, and so seeing that as a 22-year-old, I think I was 21, but almost 22. Seeing that. And knowing that I was a musician, and I did kind of have a want to perform, that was a catalyst for me, is seeing them. And so ever since then, I just really love to see women doing that, because I know that it's changing people's, it's probably changing people's lives, because it changed mine. And so yeah, I know you've had Rebecca Todd on here. She's another person that I just saw and was
yeah,
this is a North Star for me. Just there's just some Victoria, and just so many cool women that are unapologetically themselves and doing what they want to do, and it's just nice. So. It's just, and I genuinely like their music as well.
Yeah.
So that's honestly, that's the main thing is I like the music, and then on top of that, you see someone that you can relate to, and I don't know, just it's always been something special for me since I first saw them. And also music festivals in general are really nice atmosphere. So it's just, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. Yeah, I know that feeling too. It reminds me of sometimes you just don't know what's possible, and then you see different innovative people open doors, and it's just oh shit, that's within the realm of possibility, and it makes you think different. And I remember when I was 18 or 19, and I went over to somebody's house, and they were have you ever seen The Last Waltz? It's like a documentary about the band do you know the band that does the song The Wait or whatever? You might care about them. But anyway, Levon Helm, who's one of my music heroes, he was the drummer in the band as well as they kind of traded instruments occasionally. But anyway, it was the first time I'd ever seen somebody with a really aggressive Southern accent voice playing drums and singing at the same time. And it was on this documentary, and he was playing drums and singing. And I just was like mesmerized by that. And I was like, I didn't know I knew I was capable of that, but I didn't know that you were allowed to do that. And you have these rules in your head, like some sound man will laugh at me or some guitarist will laugh at me if I suggest like that I would play drums and sing at the same time. But I saw him do it, and I was just like, oh, wow. And for my introduction into rock bands kind of was that. Like I was a singing drummer, and
yeah,
it was, that was a huge moment for me. It was just like, wow, I didn't know you were allowed to do things.
When you were younger, did you ever like listen to music and imagine it was you performing it? Because I used to do that.
I did imagine a lot of weird things. Like, I remember once listening to a Toby Keith CD while my parents were cleaning the house, and I interrupted them while they were cleaning the house and asked them to watch me pretend to perform the song. And I remember in my memory, I felt like they looked at me like, "What? Why are you having us watch you do this?" And they kept cleaning the house. And I remember like kind of imagining albums with my name on them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like, it's just, I felt that way, but never thought that was achievable for so long. And then when you see it happening, you're like, wait a minute, I could do that. And also like, it's also finding your own like talent and what you're good at, because I didn't know I was a singer for a long time. I mean, I literally didn't know. Like, I even, like I said, I was in the women's choir for a year at East Carolina, just on a whim. Like, it was so random. Like, I was just tried out for it because I was like, I've always wanted to be able to sing. Like, I just think it would be fun to be able to sing and play my guitar. Because I would sing in my room, but you never know that you can sing until someone tells you.
Yeah.
So I was too scared to actually sing in front of anybody. And so I went and did the women's choir, and I got in. But even that, I was just thinking like, well, it's just like you're doing your part of the group. I don't know that I'm like a lead singer. So I kind of did, I got into it carefully. Like, I took vocal and guitar lessons, and after that, private lessons. And it was funny because I went into the lesson and I was like, listen, I don't know if I can sing very well, but I want to like try. And he said, okay. So I sang a song and played the guitar, and he was like, oh, wow, I thought it was going to be bad. Like, by the way you prefaced that. But he like gave me a lot of confidence by telling me, it was good. And then I did like some open mics, and everybody was like, cool. And yeah. And now everybody's like focuses on my vocals, when for me, I've always been an instrument person. So, which is fine. I'm glad they like it, because if it was bad, that would be sad for me. But,
sure.
But like, it's just interesting. No one's like, oh, you're a great guitarist. They're like, I'm not saying I am a great guitarist. I'm okay. But like, it's just funny to me because I grew up playing guitar, and then I did not grow up singing. So
yeah.
It's just interesting.
And I wonder, I know a lot of jazz guys that lots of people in town love to go see, and they like to hear jazz. But more people, definitely I know more people that go to like concerts where there are bands that either do familiar songs, like the Vagabond Saint Society, that do like the tribute, like different albums or different bands or whatever. People love going to those, or original shows. I think there's probably a different. I think there's maybe you have a different perspective on this, or a more informed perspective on this. But I feel like generally speaking, people have more appreciation for like words and voice than they do strictly like the discipline of instrumental skill.
Oh yeah, I think that the human voice can't be replicated, and so it's a connection. Like, I sing harmonies with my husband's band, Big Break, and a lot of people, like, the harmonies are a big deal to them. And because it's just like, instruments are really, really awesome and beautiful, but I think that everybody listening wants to connect with something, and I think that they feel more of a connection to the human voice, generally. I'm not saying everybody feels that way, but I just think generally people feel that way. And I personally listen to mainly songs with vocals in them. Every now and again I might listen to instrumental stuff, but usually I listen to vocals. And like I told you earlier, I listen to podcasts a lot, like every day pretty much. So that's people talking, and I don't know, I think it's nice. And also there's something cool about hearing people's singing voices and the different, like, diversity in that, you know? So.
Do you listen to music as much as podcasts?
That's a good question. Lately, no, but it kind of changes.
Yeah.
Like, I think because I'm playing so much and doing music so much right now, I like to listen to spoken, like, people talking.
Yeah.
And before, like, when I was only playing maybe like twice or 3 times a month, then I would be listening to music more often, maybe. I don't know. But, yeah, and sometimes I have a hard time finding what I want to listen to music-wise. I don't know if you ever run into that, like, you just don't know what to listen to. And especially when I'm driving, I don't want to be looking through stuff when I'm driving. So I'll just put on a podcast, and it's just easier. But, like, literally the last couple of weeks, I have been, like, trying to save more local or regional artists in a playlist and just, like, listen to that.
Yeah.
So I'm, like, consuming more stuff that I can, like, be inspired by or enjoy or whatever, you know. But, like, yeah, lately I definitely have been on the podcast wagon. So
I feel like around 2018 or something, I kind of switched. I feel like prior to that, I was always building on music playlists. And somewhere in there, I just, like, switched to word stuff. And it was podcasts, and it was like the type of, I don't know, like, YouTube channel stuff that will be all talking about different subjects or whatever.
Yeah. Or
even TV shows, like, just having them on in the background and hearing them happen. And I don't know why. And I noticed like weird phases, like during quarantine phase, when I was, like, taking down a barn, then I started listening to music heavily and having, like, really emotional reactions to it. But it feels like something like there's an emotion I associate with music that is pleasure, and that is something that I don't pursue as much as I do with word stuff. And I don't know if that's, like, emotion versus intellect, or, like, happiness versus seriousness, or like glee versus I don't know, purpose or something like that. I don't know what it is, but it seems like there's something going on in my psyche that is making me actually prefer usually to listen to, like, word stuff rather than music.
Yeah. Do you feel like when you're with people, you listen to music more? Like if you're with a friend or something?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Because I feel that way. Like if I'm driving, like me and my friend, she came with me to a gig, so she rode with me, and we just listened to music the whole way, and we're, like, jamming out and just having a good time. And I don't know, it's like I feel, like, less social than I used to be. Maybe. Like, I don't hang out with people as much as I used to. So I wonder if that.
Do you and your husband listen to a lot of music, or more making music?
We listen to music, but no, yeah, we probably just make music more, to be honest. And we will perform together sometimes. And like do like a duo, just me and him. But like we really like Andrew Bird, for example, like kind of cerebral type music, I guess, is what we typically relate on, because he really likes like Rage Against the Machine and like harder stuff, I guess, which I don't dislike that. I just don't listen to it much.
Yeah. And
I like to listen to like flowy like stuff. So we kind of meet in the middle when we listen to music together. Like his band is kind of funk rock and Americana. And then I'm like jazz indie rock. It's like my band. I have a band called Paper Wasps. And so we do jazz indie rock, I guess is what we call it.
Okay.
And so it's kind of more dark. Like it's not all dark, but it's a little more sad and morose and dark. And then my husband's music's almost more bright and upbeat. So it's like a yin and yang thing, I guess. But
that is really interesting.
Yeah.
Especially given the influences that you were talking about or whatever, and like the taste for what you listen to. So.
And he's also into like Chili Peppers and like,
Yeah.
I know Rage Against the Machine isn't like technically, it's like, but it is upbeat. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
high
like,
energy.
High energy. Yeah.
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 Yeah, for sure. I wonder what would happen if you did like jazz covers of Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
There's that channel that does like swing, like 20s versions of pop songs. You know this channel, whatever they're called. Something jukebox.
Have you heard the one of it was Don't Think Twice, but It's All Right. What's that song called? Oh my gosh, I'm blanking out right now. It's like Don't Think Twice because it's all right.
Yeah, yeah.
They did that one. It was really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I bet it would be. I was listening to the radio the other day. I listened to that local station a lot, the Winston station that's downtown, WTOB, I think, and they played one of the YouTube videos. They were doing the theme song of Titanic, but like a big band like swing.
Nice.
And it's so fucking good. It's like it's just so entertaining.
Yeah.
They do a lot of that, and that clown that is kind of more famous now that he like Puddles Pity Parade or something like that, and he dresses as a clown and sings these baritone like Hallelujah, or he does Viva La Vida by Coldplay. That one's really good.
Oh my gosh, that makes me think of something funny. My friend has a band, and they do like regular like cool stuff and cool lyric stuff, but sometimes they'll do funny songs, like joke songs. And they did the Itsy Bitsy Spider lyrics to the Coldplay song. I don't know why I cannot think of song names right now, but it's the one that's it's like in like the Peter Pan movie randomly. What is it called? I don't know, but it was really funny because it was that music, but it was the Itsy Bitsy Spider lyrics, and it like went with it. Anyway, it was just funny, but that was really random.
I'd be curious to hear that.
But yeah, I actually also enjoy comedy music and comedy in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Depends on it for me, I think. More so because I probably am a little stern about what I find funny or like what kind of humor I enjoy.
Yeah.
Or whatever. So I think what comes to mind when you say that for me is Flight of the Conchords. Like I like them.
Yeah, I love them.
Yeah. That's the category of funny music that I like.
Yeah, I like some dumb stuff as well, but I like a lot of things, but I love Flight of the Conchords for sure.
Bo Burnham, another one.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I was so the Jeffrey Bezos song. I learned it's just 2 chords, and it's like E minor and D or something. I don't know. You can just look it up. It's 2 chords, and I was like really tempted to just randomly pull it out at a show that they wouldn't like. It wouldn't make any sense to play it at the show because it'd be fun. And that's why I think it would be funny.
Yeah.
But I haven't got the courage to do it yet. But I'll keep you updated.
I've wanted to figure out if it was possible. Of course, it's possible, but I have attempted once or twice to play with trying to do a cover of that big song from it from Inside. The Get Your Fucking Hands Up, that
Yeah.
song. I've tried to mess with it with an acoustic thing, and I think it takes away from the mood in so far. At least I haven't figured out how to work it up yet.
Yeah, I love that one.
Yeah.
And also, I learned That Funny Feeling.
Yeah.
I
Phoebe
really
Bridgers
love.
does that one.
Really,
Yeah.
I just love the lyrics of that song. It's actually like a more serious song, but it's really good.
I
mean,
like his more serious side.
Me too.
You know.
I think that it's a mix. The whole special is a mix.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it a lot. I've seen it a lot.
Yeah.
I've watched it a lot. I've listened to it a lot.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's really great.
Yeah, he did a good job. It was awesome. But yeah, and yeah, you're probably gonna say that you don't like this. I don't know, but I am a Tenacious D fan.
Oh. I liked Tenacious D. I think that I don't have a hard opinion. When I was younger, I liked them. I don't think it's anything I gravitate to now or pay attention to, but
I think it's a nostalgia thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked that one. That one about relationships, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Me and my friend are gonna go see them live randomly.
Yeah.
In September, and I don't know. I just enjoy like comedy music, and it's just. I think what's funny about them, because I was listening to something like they did like an Audible thing, and so I listened to it. And what's funny about them is the fact that they act like they are the best band in the world. And I don't know why, but that's just a funny concept. And then they do like classical guitar stuff. Like, and it's like almost Renaissance fair. I don't know. It's just funny to me. So
Yeah.
I like it. So I'm not scared to admit it.
Yeah. Very. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
The Pick of Destiny thing. That was like strange that they were able to make that happen, and it was cool. And it's like, I'm really glad that exists. Like a whole feature around comedy music. Like,
Yeah.
that's kind of hard to. That's probably hard to get funding for. So I'm glad
Yeah.
they did.
Yeah, I think they didn't do well though. But now it's like become a cult classic or whatever. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but
Like it wasn't.
like financially, I don't think that they made a lot of money.
Well.
But I think it was important that it happened.
Yeah,
it was
for
funny.
sure.
I enjoyed it. But like, if you think about it, things like that probably did set up the stand-up specials and stuff for success. Like a full hour or more of comedy.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just those things in the past. I don't know.
How do you feel about like musicals and such?
I like musicals. It depends on what it is. Like when I was younger, I was like obsessed with Rent. Like, I think also like the LGBTQ like elements of that were nice because like, I feel like we probably went to high school about the same time, but when we were in high school, at least for me, where I went as a rural high school, and it was very there's a lot of anti-gay stuff going on. Like people were very homophobic.
Yeah.
And I feel like that high school may still be like that, unfortunately. I don't know. But, and I felt like that specific musical was nice because it made me feel like that was more supported. And, cause I don't know. It's really unfortunate, like, whenever I was growing up, that it was very negative still, there's progress, obviously, but now I feel like there's so much more, like, progress and people feel more, like, it's almost negative to be homophobic, I feel. I know there's still stuff going on, but I do think it's gotten a lot better from when I was growing up, but I do feel like musicals have a lot of cool like ways of supporting like social movements and stuff. So there's that. I don't listen or watch a lot, but
Yeah.
we went and saw Wicked a a couple of months ago, and that was cool.
Wicked. I've heard of that, but honestly don't really even know what it is.
It's like the Wicked Witch of the West story, and it's cool. I mean, it's really good music, and we saw Hamilton kind of recently too. My mom is really into musicals, so like she'll like buy us tickets, and then I'll just go.
Yeah,
so that's cool.
Yeah, that's fun.
So and I'm not saying I'm not into them. I just don't like seek them out as much as maybe, I don't know, some people do. What about you?
No, not as much. I mean, only sometimes. Like for me, it's probably most musicals I probably don't love, but there's a few exceptions that I can get down with. And it's usually because I love the immersive experience of the like emotional singer or the soul singer or whatever. And it was like from a term you used earlier, it's like theatrical singing I don't connect with it for some reason. And so like I think of performances of the past, performances that I can think of. And maybe it's not fair for me to exactly explain it that way because like, I don't know, I think of a movie like White Christmas and there's some like serious emoting going on in some of those performances. And it doesn't matter that it's a story or that it's a movie or that it's like around the idea of a play or whatever. The songs they sing are super convincing. And so that's an example to me of where I'm just like wrong about this.
Yeah.
But there are other examples, particularly on stage, I think, where people just like the type of vibrato they use and the type of diction they use that I can tell it's a play and a performance. And for some reason, I find that really hard to let it immerse me. I find it really hard to like be lost in it because I'm like, oh, I hear what you're doing. That's like, oh, that's like a technique that you're using that is supposed to be the right technique or something.
Right. I see what you're saying. Yeah. I kind of am in a similar boat. Like I can appreciate certain things, but I'm not like going hard in the paint for musicals or anything like that.
Yeah.
But like I said, my mom will listen to the whole freaking soundtrack over and over, and I'm just like, oh Lord. Like if I ride with her, she'll be like, we gotta hear this one, and I'm like, okay. But yeah.
I can think of a few that have hit me hard. I liked the music in Sweeney Todd.
Oh yeah, I
love that one.
But see, like I like dark stuff.
Yeah.
So a lot of musicals I feel like are kind of like upbeat, and that's a nice like dark kind of vibe.
Yeah, it's real twisted and fun for that reason. Like there's songs about meat pies being made out of humans. Like that's super fun.
Yeah, it's fun. We love that.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't know what, I can't think of her name, Tim Burton's wife, that big actress.
Helena Bonham Carter.
Yeah. I don't know what her history is, if it consists of a lot of singing. She sounded like really natural singing. It was weird to hear Johnny Depp singing. Some of the other people were very obviously like they're...
Oh, Alan Rickman, though.
Which one was he?
He's, have you seen the Harry Potter movies?
Yeah.
He's Snape in Harry Potter.
Yeah.
And he had the low, like...
Yeah, that was good.
Voice. Oh, my gosh. I didn't know he could sing like that.
The Pretty Women song was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, there was awesome singing in there. And hearing Johnny Depp sing was interesting. I didn't enjoy... So, like Les Mis was fun. And it, what's her name? Damn, why am I so bad with female artists' names today?
I've been bad with song names, so
Anne Hathaway, fine. I believe. Wasn't it Anne Hathaway?
Yeah. I actually never saw that, but yeah.
I didn't love the movie, but I didn't love the adaptation or whatever, but Anne Hathaway's part is stunning. It's like truly stunning, but I didn't enjoy hearing Russell Crowe sing. Hugh Jackman didn't really it wasn't the same in that way. Like I was like almost distracted by their voices, unlike these other characters in Sweeney Todd, or if you watch fucking Sound of Music or something. It's just like flawless.
Well, like even the Rent adaptation was all actual Broadway singers. So that was kind of nice, like that they were. But, I can see now it can be seen as kind of corny. But it was special to me, like, especially as a young person.
Sure.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still young. But you know, but like in high school when you're, I don't know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I'm fine with it. Like, I think it's cool. I actually think it would be fun to be in a musical because I say this lightly, but I was a dancer from when I was 3 to 18.
That's a long time.
It is a long time, but I don't want anyone to have any expectations. You know what I mean? I can do choreographed dance. That's like have mirrors in front of me, and I've practiced in front of mirrors for like months.
Okay.
Okay? I don't want people to think I can like bust it out.
Gotcha.
Anyways.
You don't want people coming up to you on the street saying, "Hey, I heard you dance. Do it now."
Yeah, they'll come up to me on the street.
Yeah.
But what was it? Yeah. So I feel like it might be fun to dance as like a background dancer, you know?
Yeah.
And then sing the background parts.
Yeah.
That to me seems fun. So I see why people get like obsessed with it, you know?
Yeah.
But I don't have time for that.
Yeah.
So sorry.
I would like to write one, I think. I think I could handle writing them. I don't think I could like direct them or whatever because I wouldn't want to be around the people singing properly.
Yeah.
Maybe I just don't like proper singing. I don't know. But anyway.
Well, you probably like my singing then because it's definitely not proper.
Yeah. I mean, like soul singers and stuff are just my favorite. Like people who use their voice really aggressively tends to be what I enjoy a lot. And,
Yeah.
you know, like, I don't know. Sam Cooke is one of my favorite vocalists of all time. And like, I'm sure a teaching instructor would hear how he makes his voice sound like that and would be like, "Oh, this is the damage he's doing to his vocal cords." But I don't give a fuck. He's just like, he sounds fucking great. So
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm like for me, I did like the lessons, but it was very like, I wouldn't say it was like proper training or that sounds bad. Like the person I worked with was great, but I'm saying it was more like just to get me used to singing the way I want to.
yeah.
I guess. So it wasn't like we didn't do like special techniques really as much. It was just more like, let's learn how to sing the song the way you want, or I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like vocal coaching or something.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think I could write, like, I think it would be fun, like, well, I guess I shouldn't spout off my ideas before they're out, but I do have ideas in my mind for writing projects that I think would be cool, and some of them could consist of original music, and so I could see me taking that on at some point, but I don't think I would want to, I don't know if I could perform that way. I don't know if I could do the whole acting thing and like kind of like being the character that uses music as a part of being a character.
That's why I was thinking like a background would be fun.
Gotcha.
I've never acted in my life, so I don't know that I can act, but I just like the idea of just dancing and singing in the back.
Yeah.
But which is yeah, because I'm a writer too. Like I feel like usually people like my voice. I would say like if you like rated me on what I'm good at, it'd be like vocals, writing, guitar, and then performance. I'm not like a huge performer. I'm kind of like, I mean, I dance, so you would think, but I don't really like perform. Like I'm not really like doing anything crazy. I'm just playing my songs and, you know. So I feel like doing like a theater thing where you're like acting and like being in the front and doing all this stuff might be difficult for me.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I also think like that skill set is for sociopaths or something. Like there's something wrong with actors, man. I'm saying.
I don't know how they do it. Like, well, yeah, it's just like how can you completely fake an emotion or?
Yeah. Why do you want to be good at that?
Yeah.
What do you use that for otherwise? Yeah.
And so yeah, if you're friends with an actor, you're like, are you being for real? Mm-hmm. I don't have any actor friends, but well,
yeah, there's probably
that's
a
a
reason
lie.
for
I
that.
do have friends that were actors, like a bit, like for theater and stuff, but not like. I don't know. I don't have a lot of friends that are actors.
Yeah, I think it's hard to have friends that are actors because actors are bad people.
They're horrible.
I'm like taking swings at actors right now.
You're gonna lose some listeners.
If it's actors, I'll risk it.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm being like that. Starting a damn civil war within the arts.
Well, it's hard because when you're a musician and you're supposed to be performing and getting people's attention, but you're like a freaking nerd like me. Like, I just am like, you're not like flamboyant and
right.
like, I'm just like, hey guys, like, here's this song. Like, I don't know how to like be like super, I don't know.
Yeah. I noticed something the other night. I played a show with this guy, Kenny Roby, and it was interesting because my set throughout, I do the banter thing. I'm not the most charismatic person on stage, but, you know, I just, whatever. I talk to the audience, and sometimes they laugh, and that's always super fun if I'm trying to be funny or whatever, or if I say something I think is funny. And then Kenny got up there, and it was like, he had all these crazy stories and crazy bits he would do.
Yeah.
And then, like, sometimes it felt like the show was 40% his bits talking and then like 50 or 60% music. Mm-hmm. And he even commented on that at one point and said something like, you know, really this is just this show, my show is like a bunch of this material with some songs peppered in. And it was almost like he's a stand-up comedian that plays really serious folk songs or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was fascinated by that because I was like, to some degree, I think that's something that happens a lot in folk music or independent music, is this sort of like balance between the serious performance and then that in-between space that's like, you are supposed to be, I don't know what, somewhat, perhaps you could be flamboyant, perhaps you could be a total clown, or I know a lot of people that go the awkward route and they just kind of they just say kind of dumb, awkward things that like make it sort of funny and make the audience kind of relate to them in that way or whatever.
Yeah, that's probably my route. The awkward route.
Yeah, that's a lot of people.
Well, I don't even know. Like, it is my goal. Like, I try to set little goals for myself as far as like music goes, and one of my goals is to be have a better stage presence. And I don't mean like do a bunch of crazy stuff, but I just mean like kind of work on how I want to do my live show and make it more engaging, because I do think it's important. Like, if you're not getting them engaged and interested, then it's hard to like for them to listen to what you have to say musically. So it is good to get them engaged for sure. Like, I don't think that should be like looked over, but you know, like I was at Little Roberts in Concord. It's just like a little dive bar situation. But I don't know why, but it was just like my banter that night was randomly going really well. And we were just talking about like TV shows with the audience. And I don't know, it was just kind of a nice moment because like I was just having conversations with the audience about like random stuff that I liked. And it was actually kind of cool. I was like, maybe that's a good angle, just like being who I am and being authentic in that way. But
I think that's what they like the most and can detect the most, honestly.
Yeah. So how long have you been doing this podcast?
Since November.
Okay.
I released an album on Halloween last year. Mm-hmm. And I like the way it happened. That cardinal is tweeting. The way it happened was I wanted to promote the album, and I wanted to, instead of do a PR thing and like reach out to the local papers, I wanted to have a buddy of mine who's a journalist come over and just us talk about it and make that public. But then I thought, well, I've thought about doing a podcast for forever. Maybe I'll just launch it that way. And that initial idea never actually happened, or hasn't happened yet, like a discussion about my album. But whatever. I launched the podcast on November 1st last year, and I've been doing it for, I guess, about 40 weeks now.
Cool.
Yeah.
How'd you find out about me? Just through like social media and stuff?
I think so. Yeah, I was just like, going through a bunch of local artists, following them, and like spreading word about the podcast, and then you were probably one of the people that came up, and I was like, cool, there's one I don't know.
That's cool. I'm glad that I showed up on there because I'm like, I don't know if anybody's seeing this. No, I'm just kidding. Social media is going pretty good. Like, I feel like I've been trying to like get my life together and just push my stuff out on there. So it's cool that you were able to find me on there, and
Yeah,
it's nice. So, because I'll reach out to like podcasts or radio stations or whatever. So it feels good for a podcast to be like, hey, will you come on there? And I'm like, I've made it.
for sure.
I
Yeah,
did it.
I want this to be a space where when there's activity in the state, like your new album or whatever, like where there's something in the music community that's kind of happening that's fresh and, out of the ordinary, I want this to be a space where people can kind of expect to hear about some of those things. So I'm stoked to be able to like draw some attention, hopefully, with my small audience, because it's not like I have a huge audience, but I think the people that listen to this give a shit about it, and it's cool to be able to like hope that they will hear about your album, and then hopefully they will share it with other people as well and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it's nice to be able to just talk about what you're doing and get it out there, because like we were talking about, it's good to connect as an artist in different ways to people. Music obviously is the big one, but it's also nice to hear like what else is going on with that person. And at least for me, I like to listen to other artists and what they have to say on podcasts.
Yep.
So
that's why I don't just say, all right, here's 20 minutes, like tell me every musician and song on your album, and then we'll be done with the conversation, because it's not sufficient to me to just strictly talk about the art, though it's important for us to talk about the art, but it's more about like, I think it's really interesting for people to have an inside view at who somebody is and what their interests are, and whether they roller skate in their backyard or whether they wear knee pads, and like suggest that other people also wear knee pads and stuff like that. That's like the type of shit that I'm enjoying learning about other artists, because that's the shit I don't know. I know what it feels like to write music and to try to put it out and to worry about whether or not people are going to connect with it or whatever. But that other stuff is kind of more, it's exciting for me, I guess.
Yeah, and, it kind of shapes how you're going to approach your art too. So,
Yeah.
It's good to know. And I think it's also interesting to hear like how people got to where they're at, or, get some inspiration and stuff like that. I don't know. But
yeah, so I will ask this though. You've been involved in other projects. Is this your debut album as your solo person?
yes.
Gotcha.
My band Paper Wasps put out an album in 2018, and I like it. It's very good. Like, I recommend it. But I wanted to, so the reason I decided to do like a solo album and a solo project wasn't anything shady against my band, because I still play with my band and I still love to play with them. Mm-hmm. It was because I had this idea to kind of maybe go out on my own and do music as a job. Like, that was kind of the premise of it. And so, but then the kind of pandemic happened, and just that wasn't like a real thing that could happen at that time. Mm-hmm. And then once things started happening, I was like, okay, like I need to be able to do something like a solo project, because I'm sure like when you have a full band, you can't always play every gig. Yeah. So it's just hard to make money like that, like consistently, unless the band's all willing to tour and do all that, which is it is realistic for some people, but with my band, it's just not realistic to tour like a big tour or anything right now. But with my solo thing, I could technically tour once things happen, So it was just more of a choice of being able to do it more full time. Mm-hmm. And the album is like completely produced by me, so it's definitely like kind of it's exactly what I wanted it to be, and so that's pretty nice.
Hell yeah.
And it really features what I want it to feature. So And then like the lyrics are all, I wrote all the lyrics and stuff, obviously, and put on musicians on the album that I really love. And yeah, Daniel Serif's on a song, by the way. And yeah, I wanted it to be something that I was able to just control kind of completely. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just to try that out, and it worked out really well, and I'm really proud of the album. So, and a lot of people, I've gotten a lot of good feedback on the first single, Daydream. Like, a lot of people have been really cool about it. And yeah, so
Hell yeah.
I think it should be fine. It should go well. I don't know. I like it.
Did you engineer the whole thing?
No. I went to Snug Records in Faith, North Carolina.
Okay.
It's in the middle of completely nowhere. He has a beautiful house out in, like the middle of nowhere, and a studio, and it's just a beautiful studio, and he's very chill and lets you kind of do what you need to do, and you don't feel a lot of pressure in the studio. Yeah. Which I like. It took me a year to do this album. It's 6 songs. So like if you went to like a studio where you're like pushing it you had to get it done in like a weekend, that to me is really stressful. Yeah. But I also don't want a situation where it's going to take me 2-3 years. So it's a good medium.
Yep, I've been in both those situations.
Yeah, me too. So so I just didn't want that for myself. I didn't want too much pressure, but I wanted a little pressure so it would get done. Yeah. But yeah, and that went. I mean, he is awesome. He engineered it and mixed it, and then I got it mastered at Studio B in Charlotte. My main audience is Charlotte and Salisbury right now. But I'm starting to branch out to other places, and but yeah, it's been a cool experience. I have a violin player named Carrie Webster who's on all the tracks, and she's like so good that it makes me feel like inadequate, which is a good thing, I guess. But she's like really good. Yeah. But she is classically trained, and she actually primarily does bluegrass. I think I kind of mentioned that a little bit. So like some of the songs kind of have like almost a bluegrass undertone in some parts. But it's like nice though. Like I like the way it came out, and like I wouldn't have worked with her if I didn't think that was a cool like element, And so she's awesome. And then her husband plays upright bass, and he did the upright bass parts in all the songs. And like we just had a bunch of really cool musicians come on to there. I have a guy that rapped on one of the songs. It's like an R&B tune. And that's called Triangles, which will be out in 3 days. And it's just very like smooth and chill. That song's about, I read a book called Euphoria by Lily King, and it's like a book on this anthropologist lady. And I like the idea of, and she like had like this love triangle in the book. And so I liked that premise of being out on being an anthropologist out in the field and like having this weird romance situation. Yeah. So it's kind of like a dark song, but that's kind of what was the inspiration for it. And I don't know. I just like to write songs that are either based on other art that I like or based on something I'm experiencing, Yeah. But, so yeah, it just has a lot of cool people on there, and it's gonna be. It's nice. I think people are going to enjoy it. So
awesome. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's a great place to leave people hanging. I think, I hope people will go check it out. This will be out tomorrow, so we'll do what we can to tag your stuff and like make sure people go anticipate your new single coming out and check out the old one. So yeah. Hell yeah! I look forward to hearing the whole album.
Yeah. Thanks so much for having me on here.
Thank you for coming, for real. And I don't know. We'll keep in touch.
If you need an interviewer for your to talk about your album, just let me know.
Okay.
I don't know that I'd be any good, but if you need a person to talk to,
bounce some ideas off of, sure. I'll give you a shout. Absolutely. I don't know. Yeah, I need to probably think about releasing one of these days. Oh well.
Well,
Well,
yeah, thanks again.
Yeah, thank you. All right.
Cool.